What's up, everyone? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with another installment of our Battling with a Budget series. Today's deck is for another viewer request. Sterling Knight, one of our viewers, requested that we do a Gisela Blade of Goldnight budget EDH deck. So obviously, this deck is a Gisela Blade of Goldnight deck for less than $50. The current cost of this deck, as it stands right now, without including the cost of the general, is $48.37. Gisela is about a $10 card, but we don't, as you all probably well know by now, we don't include the cost of the general in the overall price of the deck, because if you want to play a Gisela deck, you need a Gisela. There's really no two ways around it. So let's take a look at the deck. First up is the general, obviously, Gisela Blade of Goldnight. She is a 7-cost, 5/5 red and white angel. She is flying in first strike, and if a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent... if a source would deal damage to, an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, sorry, I had a dirt moment there, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. So basically doubles all the damage your opponents take and all their permanents take. And then if a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage rounded up. So doubles all the damage your opponents and their things take and halves all the damage that you and your stuff takes. And she's a 5/5, so if you swing in with her, she's going to hit for 10 if she hits. So she's only going to hit, if she's just lonely by herself, she only has to hit your opponent 3 times for them to die. It's kind of a little funny that if she goes in and hits for 10 and then 10, you're only 1 commander damage away from winning. But, if you have, something to, get her attack stat up by 1, which I don't think we have in this deck. But anyway, that's the general Gisela Blade of Goldnight. As far as the rest of the deck, we're going to take a look at the land base first. We run a Boros Garrison, Boros Guildgate, Drifting Meadow for some cycling, Evolving Wilds to fix our colors, Flamekin Village to give some stuff haste, Forgotten Cave for some more cycling, 14 Mountains, 14 Plains, a Secluded Steppe for more cycling, Smoldering Crater for more cycling, Terramorphic Expanse for some more filter, and Windscarred Crag. So pretty basic land base, nothing really crazy to it, seeing as this is a budget deck. Budgetizing your land base is always really where you want to start realistically if you want to be on a budget. Next, we're going to take a look at the enchantments that we run. We run Assemble the Legion to get us 1/1 red and white soldiers. Every upkeep equal to the number of muster counters on this, and on your upkeep, you put a muster counter on it, and then you get that many soldiers. So, your first upkeep, you get 1 soldier because you put 1 counter. Your next upkeep, it gets another counter. Now it has 2. Now you get 2 soldiers. So you can assemble, literally, the Legion and get a pretty large army of 1/1 soldiers very quickly. Next we have Cathars Crusade, because it's a really phenomenal card. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So I guess we do have a way to pump Gisela and make her bigger through this card. We have Curse of Bloodletting, because it doubles all the damage the enchanted player takes. Dictate of the Twin Gods to basically double all damage. We more or less run most of the double damage enchantments that are within our budget, so we have that. We also have Furnace of Wrath, which doubles damage. Then we have Impact Tremors. Will deal 1 damage to each opponent whenever you have a creature come in. So if Gisela's out on the board, or one of your damage doubling things, this will, start hitting your opponents for a decent amount of damage every time you have a guy come in. Mobilization for some token production, Pyrohemia, to be able to essentially wrath the board if you really need to. Dump a red mana into it and it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. If you have some damage doubling stuff out, it's going to deal a lot more damage. True Conviction, because why not give your guys double strike and lifelink? and Warstorm Surge to make it so that whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. If you have damage doubling effects out, it's going to hurt a lot for them. Next, we'll take a look at our instants. More or less like protection spells here, so when we do get Gisela out, we can use these to protect her from being removed off the board. So we have Apostle's Blessing, gives target artifact or creature you control protection from artifacts or the color of your choice till end of turn. So, and you can also, use that Phyrexian white to be a little versatile with it. Bathe in Light with Radiance, so whenever you cast this, you choose a color, and then target creature and each other creature that shares a color with it gain protection from that color. You can use that to win a game. Center Soul, protection spell with Rebound, so you get to use it twice. Comeuppance is really cool. Essentially, it prevents all damage that would be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control by sources you don't control. And then if damage is prevented that way, it basically shoots the damage back to the source. So if your opponent tries to attack into you with 21/1s and then you cast this, you're going to prevent all that damage, and all those 1/1s, the damage that they would deal to you, will get shot back to themselves. So pretty cool card. Emerge Unscathed, another protection spell with Rebound. Razor Barrier, another protection spell. Shining Shoal, a damage prevention spell that shoots the damage back to the source. And Volcanic Fallout, it can't be countered, and it deals 2 damage to each creature and each player. Next, we'll take a look at our artifacts. A lot of mana rocks in here because Gisela does cost 7, so we want to be able to get her out quickly. So we have Boros Signet, Hedron Archive. Inquisitor's Flail is not a mana rock, but it will double all the damage that the equipped creature will deal and receive. We're not really worried about the double damage received because, essentially if you have Gisela out, it'll make it so that the creature just receives normal damage because this will double it and then she'll have it. But if you put that on Gisela, it's going to double her damage, and then she's going to double her own damage. So she would normally hit for 10, but then she'd hit for 20 if you had this on her. Sisay's Ring, a mana rock. Swiftfoot Boots for the protection. Thornbite Staff can turn one of your creatures into a pinger, and then if you have any of your damage doubling stuff out, you can start chain gunning things, because whenever a creature dies, you can untap the creature that this is equipped to. Golem's Eye, another mana rock. Whisper Silk Cloak for the protection, and Worn Power Stone, another mana rock. Next are the sorceries that we run, basically sweepers here. We run Blasphemous Act, naturally. Bright Flame is just a disgusting spell. 2 red and 2 white and X. So let's say you dump 5 into the X. It's going to deal X damage to target creature and each other creature that shares a color with it, because it has Radiance, and then you're going to gain that much life. So, it just does nasty things. We'll just leave it at that. In Slag Storm, you can choose to either deal 3 damage to each creature or 3 damage to each player. And lastly, we will look at the creatures that we run. Pretty creature-heavy deck. We run a Bogarden Hellkite because he deals 5 damage divided however you want when he comes in, and if you have damage doublers out, he's going to deal lots of damage. Boros Reckoner, whenever he's dealt damage, he deals that much damage to target creature or player. I'm sorry, whenever he's dealt damage, I might have said when he deals damage. So whenever he is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target creature or player. So he's pretty cool, and you can give him first strike. Brimstone Mage, just a pinger that can, you can level him up and potentially make him ping for lots of damage. Custody Soulbinders, basically there to generate us 1/1 white flyers. Dragon Style Twins, a 5 cost 3/3 with prowess and double strike. More or less, it's just there for the double strike to, work very well off of the damage doubling enchantments and effects that we have. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So you'll see a lot of creatures in the deck with double strike for that reason. Falconwrath Marauders, flying haste. When it deals combat damage to a player, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, so that can get very big very quickly and deal lots of damage. Firemane Avenger will Lightning Helix if you battalion. Flame Blast Dragon, when it attacks, you can pay 1 red and X, and he deals X damage to target creature or player, so pretty cool. Fury Stoke Giant turns all of your creatures into 2 damage pingers when he comes into play, so that's really nice. Goblin Sharpshooter, everybody knows what he does. Heartless, tap him, he deals damage to each player equal to half their life total rounded down. If you have damage doublers out, he ruins everybody's day. And that was actually one of the, I believe that's one of the cards that Sterling requested that we put in the deck, just because it's funny and it works. Just it's ridiculous with Gisela or any damage doubling effect. Hell Rider will deal 1 damage to the defending player whenever he attacks. Inferno Titan spits out 3 damage divided how you want when he comes in or attacks, and he has fire breathing. Iroas' Champion, just a 3-cost 2/2 with double strike. Jaya Ballard Task Mage has lots of cool abilities, but more or less she either lets you destroy blue things or she'll let you tap to deal damage. Karmic Guide, more or less there just for the creature resurrection. Let's scroll down here. We have Kumano Master Yamabushi. So if you have damage doublers down, you can use this guy to deal damage, and then if a creature dealt damage by him would die, it gets exiled. Magmatic Force Lightning Bolt on every single upkeep. Markov Blade Master, when it deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it has double strike, so it can get big very quickly. Mentor of the Meek will draw you cards whenever you have a creature with power 2 or less enter the board. Mirrored Crusader, he's there just because he's a double striker, but he has Prot Black and Green, which is nice. Obsidian Fireheart lets you put blaze counters on lands for 3 mana, and at the beginning of that land's controller's upkeep, the land deals 1 damage to them. Precinct Captain gets you 1/1 tokens when he hits a player. Rakdos Pit Dragon can gain flying, and if you're he also has fire breathing, and if you're hellbent, he has double strike, so that's why he's in there. Scab Clan Berserker, 3-cost 2/2 with haste and renown 1. When it so if it hits a player, it gets renowned, and you put a 1/1 counter on it. And whenever a opponent casts a non-creature spell, if this card's renowned, it'll shock that player. Silverblade Paladin, if he's soul bonded with a guy, both those guys have double strike, so that's nice. Spite Mare is very similar to Boros Reckoner. When it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target creature or player. Sun Titan will resurrect permanents out of your graveyard with cost 3 or less. Sunhome Guildmage lets you pump your team and generates you tokens. Volshock Sorcerer is a pinger with haste, and Wrecking Ogre, another double striker that you can Blood Rush to give something +3/+3 and double strike. So that's more or less the deck. It's pretty straightforward. You want to get Gisela down as quickly as possible and protect her with your instant spells that, give something protection from a certain color, or maybe your Swiftfoot Boots or your Whisper Silk Cloak. Protect her so she doesn't get removed and just go to town and deal shitloads of damage. Even if you don't have her on the board, we have stuff like Dictate, and Furnace of Wrath, and Curse of Bloodletting to double your damage too. As far as the color balance, it's pretty relatively balanced, but we do have a little bit more red stuff than white stuff, but that's okay. We want to deal lots of damage with this deck, so naturally there's a little bit more red stuff. Obviously, predominantly lands. A third of your deck's always going to be lands, but we also have a very large package of creatures in this deck, with the rest of the deck being compiled of artifacts, enchantments, instants, and sorceries. Our mana curve is pretty nice. We have one thing to play on turn 1, then a lot of things to play on turn 2. A lot more to play on turn 3, and then we curve downward from 4, 5, 6, nothing on turn 7 to 8 and 9. So we do have a pretty nice mana curve here. Let's see, just the last couple things to talk about. Our average converted mana cost of the deck is 3.85, so we do have a relatively low curve. And just the types of tokens that we can generate 1/1 soldiers, 1/1 spirits, and a different type of 1/1 soldiers. We can generate 1/1 red and white soldiers, and then just regular 1/1 white soldiers. But yeah, that about wraps up the deck, guys, so I hope you enjoyed it. Sterling, especially, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you take some inspiration from it if you're still looking to build a Gisela budget EDH deck, because I think this came out pretty good. It's a pretty aggressive deck. I generally like to be pretty aggressive when I play, so I hope this was, on the lines of what you were looking for in the deck. But everybody else, if you enjoyed it, thumbs up the video. Leave me some comments. Maybe I missed the ball on some, nice budget cards in the Boros colors that would go really good in this deck. Let me know in the comment section. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. But this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming. Again, hope you all enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we will catch you later. Thanks a lot for watching.